Some could take what you said when we did our interview here earlier, the nacho cheese incident, as being a little bit insensitive.
Well, you have to understand that I love Christine, and Christine and I have a beautiful relationship. It just didn't start out in your cliche romance style.
Do you regret saying what you said earlier to us today? Did she call you out on it after that interview?
I think it's a matter of just understanding. We've been processing a lot all of our lives and kind of understanding where we've been at. The whole nacho cheese thing, I mean, that was years before Christine and I got married.
Hi besties, welcome back. Buckle up, because today we are diving into one of the most explosive developments in the Sister Wives universe. So, here's the headline: Cody Brown is apparently going on what many are calling an apology tour. Yes, you heard that right. After everything that's happened, after years of tension, heartbreak, broken promises, and fractured relationships, Cody wants to appear as though he's suddenly stepping up, taking accountability, and making amends. But here's the twist: Christine Brown isn't buying a single word of it. In fact, she's outright mocking the so-called apology campaign. She's laughed it off on social media, shrugged it off in interviews, and made it crystal clear that, in her eyes, this tour is nothing more than a performance. A scripted act. A PR stunt. And honestly, the receipts back her up. Christine insists Cody remains completely estranged from most of his children. That alone should tell us everything we need to know. If this man is truly trying to mend fences, then why do his kids say otherwise? Take Peyton Brown, for example. Just recently, Peyton went live and revealed something heartbreaking. The last time he physically saw his father was not at a holiday gathering, not at a family dinner, not even during a casual visit, but at the funeral of his brother, Garrison Brown, in Montana back in July of 2024. Let that sink in. The last time father and son were in the same space was under the shadow of tragedy. And here's where it gets even more damning. Peyton says that outside of filming for the show, his father is practically a ghost. If the cameras aren't rolling, Cody isn't there. He doesn't call. He doesn't visit. He doesn't show up for birthdays, graduations, or simple moments that matter. His role as a father, according to his own children, exists only when TLC is paying for the footage. Now pause with me for a second. Imagine being a kid in that situation. Imagine your dad only showing up if the producers tell him to. Imagine your grief at your brother's funeral, and instead of genuine comfort, you see your father playing a role for the cameras. That's not just sad, that's devastating. And that brings us right back to Christine's point. This entire apology narrative? It's smoke and mirrors. It's part of a storyline crafted for ratings, not reality. His remorse over Garrison? Christine believes it's fake. His promises to do better? Also fake. And Peyton's testimony proves it. But here's where it gets even more fascinating and chilling. We don't have to rely on just the kids' words to see this pattern. Christine's own book lays bare what it was really like behind the scenes of Sister Wives, and oh my, it paints a picture that is far from the wholesome family image we once thought we were watching. Christine recalls how, as cracks in the family began to widen, Cody's paranoia and need for control skyrocketed. When the show first began, there was this unspoken agreement: keep it positive, keep it light, don't air the dirty laundry. Everyone wanted to look united, happy, stable. But you and I both know, you can only fake harmony for so long before the truth starts seeping through the cracks. And seep it did. As the wives began to voice their frustrations about jealousy, favoritism, broken promises, and especially about Cody's overwhelming devotion to Robin, Cody's image as the good guy started to crumble. And he hated it. Christine reveals that Cody couldn't stand being portrayed negatively. To him, any criticism, no matter how small, wasn't just a comment, it was an act of betrayal. He wanted absolute loyalty, unquestioning obedience, and constant praise. And when he didn't get it? He punished people. Yes, punished. Christine describes how, if she or her children dared to say something on camera that made Cody look bad, the consequence...
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward that Robin's here, of course. we're not on the best of terms.
My desire and intention has always been to have a good relationship with Christine. That's what I'm putting forward.
Because these relationships do need to get mended.
We've had such a struggle with this. I'd almost rather just take some time to get in a bed.
At home were immediate. Kody would withdraw affection. He'd take away time. He'd withhold money. The kids weren't spared either. They too were punished if they voiced anything less than glowing about their father. Think about how damaging that is. You're asked by a producer how you feel about your dad favoring one wife over another, you answer honestly, and then at home, you pay the price. That's not fatherhood. That's control. That's manipulation. Christine admits how hard it was to sit on that infamous family couch during filming. The producers would push, prod, and provoke them into answering uncomfortable questions they'd never dare bring up in private life. How do you feel about Kody spending more time at Robyn's house? Do you think he favors certain wives? Are you jealous? These were loaded questions, and the more Christine and the kids answered honestly, the more backlash they faced at home. But here's the kicker, that's exactly what made the show compelling. Viewers wanted honesty, conflict, emotion. TLC thrived on those moments. And the cruel irony? The more honest the wives were, the more they were punished by Kody. Now, let's stop and ask ourselves, what does that do to a marriage? What does that do to children growing up in that environment? To know that speaking your truth will cost you your father's affection? That silence equals safety? That loyalty means pretending everything is perfect? This is why Christine says Kody's apology tour is worthless. Because the man never truly changed. He didn't reflect, he didn't grow, he just doubled down on control. His obsession wasn't with repairing his family, but with protecting his image. And when you see it through that lens, Peyton's confession about not seeing his dad outside of filming makes total sense. Because Kody doesn't function without an audience. To him, relationships aren't sacred, they're scripted. So, let's dive deeper, because what we've uncovered so far is just scratching the surface. If you thought Christine's truth bombs about Kody's fake apology tour were intense, buckle up. What comes next exposes just how deep the fractures in this family go, and why Christine has zero patience for Kody's narrative. Now, to really understand Christine's perspective, we have to rewind to a very raw chapter of the Brown family history, a chapter where the wives were juggling jealousy, exhaustion, and the crushing pressure of maintaining their plural marriage brand in front of millions of viewers. Christine, in her book and interviews, makes one thing painfully clear, the family dynamic was never truly equal. Sure, Kody preached unity. He claimed each wife had an equal share of his love, his time, and his commitment. But behind closed doors? That promise was broken almost every single day. Let's be honest, you and I could see it on TV. Even casual fans noticed how often Kody was at Robyn's house. We noticed the subtle looks of disappointment on the other wives' faces when Robyn seemed to get special treatment. But imagine living that every day. Imagine watching your husband give one wife everything you've been waiting for, while you and your children are quietly left behind. Christine recalls how favoritism wasn't just a suspicion, it was reality. Robyn had the legal marriage, Robyn had the attention, and Robyn had her kids elevated above the others. And the rest of the family? They were expected to smile for the cameras and pretend this wasn't happening. Now here's where it gets dark. Christine describes how she reached a breaking point, not just as a wife, but as a mother. Because when favoritism trickles down to the kids, the wounds run even deeper. Christine shares how her children felt invisible. They saw their dad giving attention and gifts to Robyn's kids while their own needs were ignored. Imagine the message that sends to a child, "You're not good enough to matter." This is where the resentment between Christine and Mary starts to overlap. Because Mary, instead of offering compassion or solidarity as another ignored wife, often added fuel to the fire. Christine recalls moments when Mary seemed to attack her kids emotionally, belittling them or treating them harshly. That, right there, was the line Christine could never forgive. She could tolerate Kody's neglect toward her, as painful as it was, but seeing her kids disrespected, diminished, and left out? That lit a fire in her that never went out. And here's the twist, Meri didn't see it that way. From her perspective, Christine was overreacting, always playing the victim. But Christine insists it wasn't exaggeration. It was real, and her kids still carry the scars of those interactions. Fast forward to now, and we see the ripple effect. Christine's kids are the most outspoken about Kody and Meri's behavior. Peyton goes live and says bluntly, "My dad isn't there." Gwendolyn speaks up and admits she saw through her dad's favoritism. Even Truly, the youngest, has struggled to reconcile what she watched growing up. And the irony? While Kody parades around on his so-called apology tour, Christine's kids, the very people who should be at the center of his healing efforts, remain disconnected. They're not receiving apologies. They're not receiving calls. They're not receiving effort. Now let's pause and really think about this. What good is an apology if it's only for the cameras? What good is a tour of remorse if the very people you hurt are still hurting in silence? Christine laughs at Kody's attempts because she's lived the truth. She knows the cameras can be manipulated. She knows viewers can be swayed. But her children? They remember. They carry the truth in their memories. They don't forget who was there for them and who wasn't. And here's something that really sticks out. Christine doesn't just speak as an ex-wife. She speaks as a survivor of Kody's control. She's finally free to say what she couldn't say on that family couch. She doesn't have to fear Kody's backlash anymore. She doesn't have to smile through tears or pretend everything's okay. And she's using that freedom to tell the world that Kody's image is built on lies. But here's the heartbreaking part, she's not just telling us about her pain. She's telling us about the trauma her children endured. Trauma that will likely follow them for years. Because
You never tried to have really good relationship with these other people. And I'm pissed off.
That's not true.
And it's
Yes,
just
I did.
vomiting out of, sat here with it just like Christine, try and do this. Renegotiate a relationship with me, but you wouldn't even have a decent one
in
with
a
them.
home where your father values his public image over your private happiness? That's not something you can just shake off. And that's why Christine's story resonates with so many fans. Viewers aren't just seeing a reality TV star vent. They're seeing a mother fight for her kids' dignity. They're seeing a woman demand accountability where it's long overdue. And they're seeing the truth behind the polished narrative that Kody tries so desperately to sell. So when Christine rolls her eyes at Kody's apology tour, when she mocks it, when she calls it fake, she's not being bitter. She's being brutally honest. Because apologies without action are meaningless. And until Kody actually shows up for his kids, not the cameras, not the network, but his actual kids, his words will remain hollow. Now, family drama in plural marriages is nothing new. But what makes Christine and Meri's rivalry so unforgettable is how personal, raw, and lasting it became. This wasn't just about two women fighting for attention. It was about children, love, respect, and years of emotional wounds that never healed. Christine has admitted openly that Meri's behavior toward her kids was the deal-breaker. While Kody's favoritism left her feeling invisible, it was Meri's cutting words and actions toward her children that truly made the situation explosive. Imagine being a mother and hearing your child say, "Why does Aunt Meri hate me?" Christine recalls moments like that, and she says it shattered her heart. Meri, of course, has denied being cruel. She paints herself as misunderstood, claiming she was simply strict or firm. But Christine pushes back. To her, this wasn't about discipline, it was about belittling, shaming, and isolating kids who were already struggling with the unique pressures of living in a plural family. And here's where the truth really comes out, the kids themselves are speaking up. Peyton Brown, never one to mince words, has gone live on social media to expose his father's absence and to call out the hypocrisy he's witnessed firsthand. He flat out says his dad prioritized one side of the family over the rest. Gwendolyn, with her dry wit and sharp honesty, has admitted that she saw through her dad's performances. She says it was obvious who got love and who didn't. Aspen and others have also quietly voiced their frustration, often defending Christine against the narrative that she was dramatic or jealous. These aren't bitter ex-wives talking, these are grown children, now adults, confirming what Christine has been saying for years. And the fans? Oh, the fans have not been quiet either. Go on Reddit, Twitter, or YouTube comments, and you'll see thousands of viewers rallying behind Christine. Here are just a few fan reactions that capture the general mood. One fan wrote, "Mary has always come off as cold and harsh. Watching Christine finally speak her truth is so validating for those of us who saw the warning signs years ago." Another fan commented, "Christine was gaslit for years. Seeing her break free and call out Kody and Mary is the most empowering thing this show has ever given us." A viewer tweeted, "Kody's apology tour? Please. That man wouldn't know accountability if it slapped him in the face. Christine deserves better, and her kids deserve better too." And on a Sister Wives fan page, someone wrote, "Mary picking on Christine's kids is unforgivable. That's not just drama, that's emotional abuse. No wonder Christine left." It's not just casual viewers either. Longtime Sister Wives fans, people who followed the show since season 1, are saying this is the unraveling of a carefully crafted illusion. For years, TLC packaged the Browns as quirky but loving. But Christine's revelations, backed by her children and supported by thousands of fans, have exposed what many suspected: the cracks were there all along, hidden under forced smiles and scripted unity. And let's talk about timing. Christine's decision to speak now, after leaving Kody, is powerful. She waited until she was free from Kody's influence, free from TLC's narrative control, free to speak as a mother first and a reality star second. That freedom gives her words so much weight. Because here's the thing, Christine doesn't sound bitter. She doesn't sound vengeful. She sounds relieved that she can finally protect her kids by telling the world what really happened. She sounds like someone who's carried the weight of silence for years and is finally laying it down. And fans feel that. They aren't just entertained by Christine's truth bombs, they're inspired. Comment after comment calls her brave, a role model, and even the only real one in the entire Sister Wives saga. This is why Christine's story hits so hard. It's not just about drama for drama's sake. It's about truth versus image. It's about mothers versus fathers. It's about kids who were caught in a storm they never asked for. And now, finally, those kids are grown and speaking their truth, standing with their mom. So when Christine exposes Mary's treatment of her children and Kody's neglect, fans don't just see reality TV, they see a family unraveling in real time. And the verdict from the court of public opinion? Christine wins. Every time. And now, after all the heartbreak, the fights, the favoritism, and the truth finally spilling out, we're left with one big question: what happens next for the Browns? Can a family that's been torn apart by jealousy, neglect, and years of unspoken pain ever truly heal? Or are these wounds simply too deep to close? Do you believe Kody is even capable of giving a real apology, not one performed for cameras, not one staged for sympathy, but a genuine, soul-deep apology to the kids he left behind? Do you think Mary will ever face her past and own up to the way she treated Christine's children? Or will she continue to deny, deflect, and protect her image instead of the truth? And here's the hardest question of all: will Christine's courage be enough to break the cycle of hurt and finally give her kids the peace they deserve? Or will the trauma of growing up in this family cast a shadow over them for years to come? I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? Christine, fighting for her kids? Or Kody and Mary, still trying to control the narrative? Because at the end of the day, this story isn't just about sister wives, it's about family, truth, and what happens when silence finally breaks. At the end of the day, besties, this entire saga reminds us that what we see on TV is rarely the full story. Behind every carefully staged scene, behind every smile and scripted moment, there are real people, real emotions, and real pain. Christine's bravery in telling her truth has ripped away the glossy facade of sister wives, exposing not only Kody's control and neglect but also the years of silence that Mary and Robin seemed willing to protect. But beyond the drama, what stands out most is the resilience of the kids. They didn't choose this life, they didn't ask to grow up under the weight of broken promises and shattered trust, yet they are the ones carrying the deepest scars. And still, they are speaking out, demanding their voices be heard. That alone is powerful. That alone gives hope. So as fans, we're left to reflect, what does family really mean? Is it just blood and last names? Or is it loyalty, compassion, and showing up for the people you claim to love, even when the cameras stop rolling? I want you to think about this. If you were in Christine's shoes, would you have had the strength to walk away? If you were one of the kids, would you forgive Kody? Or is forgiveness impossible when the hurt runs this deep? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Whose truth do you believe? Christine's? Kody's? Or do you think the truth lies somewhere in the middle? Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to Truth Behind TLC, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Because besties, this story is far from over. And trust me, the next chapter will be even more shocking.